Welcome to the Buck Brief. Joe Biden's disastrous CNN interview. Look, they approach him with kid gloves. They do everything they can. What more obvious question can they throw his way than, why is the economy by all the pollsters considered better by the American people under Trump than you? Why do they trust him more on the economy than you? What's going on? Biden knows at some level that there's no good answers for this anymore, right? He can't claim that it's the pandemic or anything else. And he goes so far as to, well, you know what? It's better if you hear it from him. This is what Biden says when asked about this.
What about, but there's real pain. Grocery prices are up 30%, more than 30% since the beginning of the pandemic. And people are spending more on food and groceries than they have at any time, really, in the past 30 years. That's a real day-to-day pain that people feel.
It really is, and it's real. But the fact is that if you take a look at what the people have, they have the money to spend. It angers them and angers me that you have to spend more. For example, the whole idea of this notion that Senator Casey talked about, shrinkflation. I think it's on your program.
Same price for a smaller bottle of juice or something.
For example, Snickers bar, they did a thing. And it's like 20% less for the same price. That's corporate greed. It's corporate greed. And we've got to deal with it. And that's what I'm working on.
Okay. I understand that ever since we were little kids, when you would open a bag of potato chips, you were perhaps disappointed that there was a lot of air in that bag. But for Biden to pull this pseudo-Marxist crap about greedy corporations and prices, let me tell you, I run a coffee company right now. I'm a partner in it with Clay Travis and my brother Mason. It's called Crockett Coffee. Now, we would love to sell coffee even cheaper than we currently do, and we have a great price at crockettcoffee.com. Go check it out. We would love to do that. But the price of things everywhere bought in U.S. dollars has gone up. Why? Because Biden is an imbecile, and the Democrats are running the show around him. And they are effectively pushing for modern monetary theory. They just think that you spend whatever you can spend, whatever you want to spend, and you don't worry about it. Now, this can destroy an economy. This is the way to bring down any nation's financial infrastructure, because the debasement of the currency means everything else is effectively null and void. When the currency collapses, everything falls apart. But Biden has no answers because his party demands more spending, more spending, more spending, more taxes, more spending. You already look at the line item of servicing the current debt. We have $34 trillion on the budget. It's one of now the top 3 or 4 items in our entire budget. Paying for money that we've already paid, or rather that we've already run up as a debt. This is unsustainable. Social Security, they're now saying, I think runs out in 2035. This is unsustainable. But you feel it in the prices you pay for milk and bread and gas and electricity. And these are all things that are a direct function of having people like Joe Biden making decisions. Joe Biden is, never forget this, beyond the ruthlessness and the political machinations and his oleaginous nature with his big grin and his, Irish Joe and all this crap they say. Joe Biden is very, very dumb, okay? He's a dumb person. Now, you can be incredibly stupid and gain a lot of power. You can be incredibly stupid and be very popular. In fact, a lot of people in media. It's a whole other conversation. Dumb, but popular. So it's not about popularity and it's not about power. When you're looking at someone's intelligence, you're looking at their ability to process information and have judgment of some kind. That's just what you're observing. And Joe Biden is an imbecile. He's a dumb person. He is not a smart man. People say, oh, well, he's president now. Remember, they said George W. Bush was dumb, as the dumbest person ever. He actually isn't dumb. I've interacted with him. I've talked to him about complicated subjects. He's not particularly articulate. That's true. But he's not dumb at all, actually. He's actually quite perceptive and pretty sharp. And the notion that he was an imbecile was a complete fabrication of the media. Joe Biden, like a little marionette, like a little puppet, he mouths the mandatory slogans, but he's an idiot. So he can do the little, it's like a parrot to repeat something that it's heard. He is an imbecile. And that's something that you have to remember when we're looking at Joe Biden and running the economy and all the rest of it. Now, look, the economy is rough right now. Prices are high, and a lot of people realize you got to find ways to get some yield, get some investment going that's going to help you prepare for the future and to build a nest egg for yourself or to further feather your nest. And that's why I think it's important you check out Mark Chaikin and what he does. Mark Chaikin worked on Wall Street for 50 years. Across those decades, he invented 3 new indices for the NASDAQ, has predicted some of the biggest market shifts of the past decade. Mark says the majority of Americans are about to miss out on a critical turning point in this AI frenzy. He says it's a new dawn for U.S. stocks. So artificial intelligence can move the whole market. Stocks like NVIDIA have been the biggest movers in the past year. Mark says there's going to be more. Which ones? Well, he's agreed to share a specific AI stock right now with you. You got to go to 2024aistock.com. That's 2024aistock.com, paid for by Chaikin Analytics. Now, my friends, the betrayal of Israel by Biden, this is not a surprise. I knew this would eventually happen. I will say the protest lunatics have been more effective at bullying the Democrat Party than I had anticipated. But it was only a matter of time before Biden was going to cave on this because Biden has no ethics. He has no, honestly, to say he has no soul might be good, but he has a very damaged soul. And so he has had his administration now say if the Israeli military, the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, goes into Gaza, into Rafah specifically, the southernmost portion really of Gaza, where there's this last holdout of Hamas, and yes, civilians, this is a war. It's a terrible thing. But if they go in there, the U.S. will cut off their supply of precision munitions. Now, that, of course, also would mean that the Israelis would probably have to use some less precise munitions, which would result in higher casualties of civilians. But Biden is desperate. This is Michigan. This is Muslims in Michigan who support Hamas and hate Israel, pulling the chain of the Biden administration so that it will stab Israel in the back at the critical moment. That is what is going on here. It is plain for all to see. And it's just a reminder that people think of the Democrat Party as just this coalition of interests that are held together by their desire for power. But the problem is the coalition is only possible because there's no ethical framework for this. It's just a raw power coalition. It's whatever we have to do to be in charge, to have statism and greater authoritarianism and the eradication of Judeo-Christian morality and foundations for America and all that. That is what the Democrat Party and the left stands for. More government, more people telling you what to do, and more power in the hands of anyone who signs up to be a leftist Democrat. Now, that's effective, unfortunately. It's kind of ruled by the mob, and different factions of the mob come together. But the downside of it is eventually the mob can turn on you as a leftist. And so that's why left-wing Jews are getting a very harsh lesson in the truths of the Democrat Party right now and what the Democrat leadership really values, just power. There is no principle. It is just power. And there is no one who is less principled involved in any of this than Joe Biden himself. There is nobody you can point to, I think, who is easier to sway and turn his back on what he just said a minute ago than Joe Biden, because he is a hollow husk. I mean, he looks like a hollow husk these days, but he's a person who is just playing a role. And his role is to do whatever the people around him, whatever the puppeteers, whatever strings they pull, however they make the little marionette dance around it doesn't really dance, it kind of stumbles, but stumble around on the stage. That's Joe Biden. Do you know I'm a firearms guy? Switching gears here. And I love this sponsor we have, Bear Creek Arsenal. Bear Creek Arsenal is an all-American company based in Sanford, North Carolina. I went there, toured their whole factory. Look, I didn't know about them before, being totally honest with you. And I had a bunch of firearms. And now I've got a Bear Creek Arsenal Grizzly, which is one of their 9mm pistols. I've got the BC-15, which is their semi-automatic rifle, their AR equivalent, and they can go toe-to-toe in terms of accuracy, functionality, design, sturdiness of the mechanics. They can go toe-to-toe with the most expensive. I have some of the most expensive guns you can get on the gun market without getting too deep into the custom world. And, the most well-known manufacturer of ARs out there, I've got one, and my Bear Creek Arsenal rifles, every bit as good. And about a fifth of the cost. A fifth of the cost. Think about that. Why do you want to throw away money for some name brand you don't need? It's unnecessary, right? It's like, do you want to pay twice as much for Tylenol that has the name on it, or do you want to pay for, the generic? I mean, it's up to you. It's up to you. Same drug. It has to be legally the same drug, but, Bear Creek Arsenal. Also, they're building a great American brand. So you're getting a great brand, and you're getting it at a much better price. Go check out. You'll be like, this is impossible. How are these guns so inexpensive? Because they're trying to just bring you the best possible prices, the best manufacturing, no middleman fees. Go to bearcreekarsenal.com/buck. Use promo code BUCK for 10% off your first order. That's bearcreekarsenal.com/buck. Use promo code BUCK for 10% off your first order. Now, some talk of JD Vance as VP is getting more attention. I'll tell you this. I think JD Vance is going to be the VP. I've said it all along. Here he is, though, on Glenn's radio show. Listen to this, talking about whether that conversation between Trump and JD has even been had. Listen.
Hello, JD. How are you?
Hey, Glenn. Good. How you doing, man?
Great. Great to talk to you. First, I have to ask you, how are the talks to be vice president going, huh? I'm just saying.
Well, you'll be the first to know, Glenn. Of course, the media is very curious on this, but I've never yet had a conversation with Donald Trump about being his vice president. So
really? Until
I do, I will assume that this is a lot of media speculation. And
wow.
What you do about nothing.
Well, we're pulling for you, actually. We're pulling for you.
Now, got to tell you, I think that JD Vance is still going to be the VP. I think he'd be a great choice because this VP needs to be ready to go. And also, Trump has to pass the MAGA torch to somebody. He has to in 4 years. God willing, he's going to win this election, but he has to pass it along in 4 years. There's no other option, right? And so we don't want a VP who's just window dressing. We want a VP who is growing into the role, who is youthful for a president, future president, meaning somebody in their 40s, 50s, and who can unite the party and who is ready to lead day one of their own presidency. I really like Tim Scott I don't know the guy, but from everything I've seen, just a very decent, very honorable man with an inspiring story. I don't know if he could be the guy to lead the party in the future. I don't know if he has the fire, the fight in the belly. You got to be a brawler. You got to be a brawler. I don't think Tim Scott's a brawler. I think he's a good man. Who else is in contention right now? People have talked about Elise Stefanik. She's pretty liberal for a Republican. Just telling you. Pretty liberal. JD Vance is in the mix. I've heard some people say Marsha Blackburn. I really like Marsha Blackburn. I think she is charming. She has the best accent. It's amazing. That was a bad Marsha Blackburn impression, but she's great. I don't think she's going to do it, though. I don't think that Trump having a woman is going to get him. I think when we play identity politics as Republicans, we just lose because it doesn't work for us, so we shouldn't do it. And we also oppose it in principle, so why are we doing it? We shouldn't pick a VP based on anything other than ability. And also what it brings to the ticket, obviously, the political calculation. So I think it's going to be JD Vance. You heard it here, even though I know JD is saying, I haven't even talked to him about it yet. We keep hearing about people out there who are on the fence about gold. Look, Biden could win this election, and the economy could get absolutely pasted as a result of it. Just crash landing, right? Take action now. Look at the $34 trillion we have in debt. Have some gold on hand. You want to have some gold on hand. Gold over time increases in value. Just look at it historically. Gold is part of a bug-out plan in case you ever need to really get somewhere, and God knows what's going to happen to our currency. Portfolio diversification, a hedge against inflation, a store of value. You want to buy gold from people you trust? That's the Oxford Gold Group. Call the Oxford Gold Group. That's who I go to for my gold. I've got it in my safe here at home. I've got gold holdings. Call 833-995-GOLD, 833-995-GOLD. 833-995-GOLD. The Oxford Gold Group. Go check them out today. Also, if you're listening to this on podcast, please go to the Buck Brief on YouTube. We would love to get to the point where we're actually verified on YouTube. And we've got a huge audio audience for this podcast, which I really appreciate. But our video, because I've had YouTube has banned me and shut me down because of COVID stuff like 4 times already. It's been a total joke. So we're trying to build it out and get video going as long as we can before they ban us again. So if you're listening on audio, please go subscribe on YouTube. Buck Brief, go subscribe. Different than the Clay and Buck Show, which is amazing. Best radio show out there, so go check that out too. And also Crockett Coffee. Please become part of our Crockett Coffee revolution. We are building a great American company there. Coffee is just the foundation, just the beginning. And it's great coffee, though. It's delicious. We actually care about coffee. I drink it every day, so I really wanted really delicious coffee. Go to crockettcoffee.com. Please subscribe. It's going to send to you every month. You don't have to think about it. Best for you, best for us. Best price for you and easiest for us logistically. And you're a part of the team. We've even got a name for the team that we're going to come up with, or we're going to unveil, I should say, soon. So that's it for today, everybody, on the Buck Brief. Thanks again. Shields high.